Hey fellow Ristopians, welcome back to Ristopia. The next video is going to be a continuation of watch boxes. I was going to get maybe a Grand Seiko and a Longines out because I quite like both of those boxes for different reasons. Not the Grand Seiko, the Longines, I remember I was particularly impressed with. I did mention in a previous video that I thought the Omega was the best box in the business. But I did really like the Longines, and I kind of really need to revisit that myself because I suppose it's different. I suppose, you know, it's for the price point of the watch. Well, we'll have a look at that. Let's have a look at that in a future video, which I hope you'd like to see. But I kind of, you know, I had to get this watch out, or I ended up getting this watch out at short notice. This is the Rolex Seadweller. I think it's the 12660, so 5 series. I mean, yeah, I don't believe that you have to know the reference number of your watch, or else you're not a real enthusiast. You know, it's just rubbish. I mean, I think people only really say that about Rolex. And I can't see anyone says it about Grand Seiko or Omega. I mean, who knows the model reference of their Omega? It's about 15 digits long with loads of dots. And I mean, nobody's going to remember that obscure number. Yeah, so I don't buy into that. I don't need to know the reference number. If I want to know the reference number of the watch, I'll get the warranty card out and I'll have a look at it. So that's, you know, it's a bit like saying you have to remember the name of your child if you don't speak to them every day. You know, if your child was born and this is a strange reference, but if your child was born and you just never saw it for 15 years, I don't know, how likely are you to remember its name? I don't know. I just don't think it's because you say it every day. You know, if you've got a long lost child, you're not. Well, maybe one child you'll remember its name. But let's say you had 15 children and you never saw them. You didn't see them day they were born. And you didn't see them after that. A bit like a warranty card. You're not going to remember all their names. The only reason you remember their names is because you say it every day or regularly. You know. Anyway, that was went off on a bit of a tangent there. But so we have the Rolex Seadweller. This is about 25 years old. And I got this out today. And what happened today in doing that, I've been wearing this watch, the Invicta Pro Diver, a fair bit recently. As you can probably tell by the damage I've caused to the bezel and crystal. And I've been meaning to do a review of this watch, so I kind of guess this is kind of it now. But it's come about because of how similar these two look. You know, when I got this out, I thought, God, it really looks like the Pro Diver. So I found this on the desk and put them side by side as I am now, and I thought, yeah, they are. You know, this was basically modelled on this. This is you know, it's a Rolex homage. Very popular one. The Urban Gentry, I noticed the video. I don't think I've seen it, but he gives 9 reasons why this is still the best watch. Under $100. That was a 2022 video. It's about a year ago now, 11 months ago now. But yeah, I'm guessing that still holds true. This is one of the OGs with the yellow. Can you see that? The yellow rotor there in the back. I believe they do make these now without bothering to put a customized rotor on, which is a shame. I think it needs a yellow rotor. What it doesn't need is those yellow loom pips. Now, I have 3 issues with the Invicta Pro Diver, one of which is those yellow loom pips, and that's the reason for doing this video this morning, because, well, I say this morning, it's 2:30 nearly. Yeah, these are actually set to the right time. I forgot I'd done that. Is that the yellow? So I got this out and I saw that they were very similar, and it highlights what I don't like about the Invicta. And the main thing I don't like is the yellow loom pips. It's such a shame that they are yellow. And having a vintage, I mean, this isn't a Submariner. I'm guessing this is more modelled on a Submariner than a Seadweller. But because that's the provocative one, that's the one that gets the people going. But I was always a Seadweller. I always liked the slightly chunkier, heavier watch rather than the and thicker, rather than the. That's the other thing. A Submariner of this era would have been significantly slimmer than the Seadweller variant. You know, the Seadweller model, and it wouldn't have the helium escape valve. So it just, for me, I just like chunky things. So, but yeah, so it wasn't modelled, but I'm sure the Submariner didn't have yellow loom pips. So the fact that the Invicta does have yellow loom pips is a bit weird, because there wasn't, even if it, I mean, it would have to be modelled on a much older Rolex than this one, which I really don't see the point. I think they should model it on a modern day Rolex, which may mean it would be bigger, but you know, I'm happy that people like this 40mm size. I'm assuming that the Invicta is 40mm. I just think it should have white loom pips, and you know, white loom basically, which would be better. The other two things, I think it would be nice if it didn't have the Cyclops. As you can see here, this Rolex doesn't have a Cyclops. Not all Rolexes have a Cyclops. I think some people might feel every Rolex has a Cyclops, but it doesn't. There's lots and lots of models that don't have a Cyclops that have a date. So that would be better without a Cyclops. I might try and chip that Cyclops off, actually. And the third thing that I think isn't great on the Invicta is the polished center links. And they're the three things. I think if they change those three things, this would be even better than it is. For the price point, it's obviously going to have mineral crystal and aluminium bezel insert, so it is going to scratch. But you know, for $100, you know, you could buy two, keep one for best that you don't scratch, and have a safe Queen Invicta Pro Diver and an everyday wear, a daily Invicta Pro Diver. So they're the three things I would change. I wouldn't change the Invicta engraving on the side. I actually quite like that. I like the fact that that's there in the kind of font that it's in. Strange V, but yeah, generally I like that. I wouldn't change that personally. It's not a Rolex, so yeah, be proud to have Invicta on the obviously on the logo, underneath the logo rather, have the logo on the counterbalance of the second hand, and yeah, and inscribe it with Invicta on the side. Own it, show your love for it. But yeah, they are the three things I would change to make this even better than it is. You know, I do think it's got a Seiko. That's a Seiko movement that's been personalised with the yellow rotor. NH35, absolutely fantastic value for money. But I thought you might like to see it against, I think, the watch that probably looks the most like that. I cannot think of another Rolex that would look more like that Invicta. And as I say, this is like 25 years old. So it has similar things. So pressed clasp, pressed steel clasp. And, you know, it's kind of equally as jangly because it's from, you know, Rolexes now have improved in quality in terms of the bracelet. Because they've, you know, but they cost they cost a load of money. So for, you know, what you're going to expect for $100, you know, you can't expect really more than the spec of this. Aluminium bezel insert as well on the Rolex, although it is sapphire crystal on the crystal. But yeah, so as we were talking about that, about the improvements I would make to this watch, we have another watch here which also has center links, another one of my faves, the Tissot Grand Diver. And just very quickly, just because I've mentioned improvements I would make, so the three I would make to the Invicta: a white loom, brush center links, and get rid of the Cyclops. So the improvements I would make on the Tissot, which I think is an absolutely stunning watch for the money. It's probably as near to a Rolex Oyster Perpetual as I have found in how can I put this? I mean, it doesn't have a, it's got a green dial. I suppose there was a Rolex Oyster Perpetual with a green dial. It doesn't have Tiffany blue options. It doesn't have a bright yellow or red or, options. So, but in terms of wearing, I find this as near to a Rolex Oyster Perpetual as I have found. But there are three. I think this is a lovely watch. I really, really love it. But there are three, and I'm thinking it might be four. There are a few things I would change. I'd get rid of the date. I think it would be nice if they did a no date version. I would change the center links to brushed, and I know I could get some sandpaper and brush them out, but I just really don't want to. I just don't really want to do that to my own watch, or any watch really. I don't think I'd be happy to do that and be happy with the results. And the other thing is, if they put a 3 rather than this butterfly clasp, which happens to fit me sort of very, very well, surprisingly. If that had a 3-fold clasp on it, then I think those things, it does come in blue. I prefer the blue one, I think, although I really do like this green one. But I think the blue dial version, without a date, brush center links, and 3-fold clasp, such as, either with pushers or a safety clasp. I think that would make a very, very nice watch even better, so much better. And so they are my 3 suggestions. If you're listening, Tissot and Invicta, they're my 3 suggestions to change on your watches to make them even more fantastic than they are. Well, hope you've enjoyed the video. I'll get round to doing the Grand Seiko and Invicta boxes soon, but for now I think I'm going to call that a wrap. One wrist, live it.